Welcome back! Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Trials and Tribulations. We are about to face off in the final day of court for Recipe for Turnabout. Let's get into this. January 8th, 9:46 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 1. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick? Huh? Oh, yeah, of course. I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes. No, that wasn't doubt. That was, determination. Why didn't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Hey, pal! Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How did you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. Oh. You look like you lost the case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Here, maybe this will help. Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is the small bottle that turned up in Trebian's kitchen a couple days ago. Wow, look at all those little bottles. Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many they're overflowing onto the floor. Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label on either. And it doesn't smell. We finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. It's a medication. Oh! Medication? It's Glen Elg's ear medication. Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glen Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glen Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? The victim's ear medicine found covered in unidentified fingerprints in the kitchen. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... That's going to weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Okay, pal, this is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. Got it? Today's trial. I'm going to expose that guy for what he's done. Or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. January 8th, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 4. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Bird. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor. Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claims to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems. The mark on the rim of the cup shows the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand. Thank you, Mr. Goddo. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which made him effectively deaf in that ear. It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Ha! Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it. You've lost me already, Mr. Goddo. Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You've got to change with the times. That's one of my rules. Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions? You know the answers to these riddles? You know the answers to these riddles. The old guy wasn't just throwing seeds in here. He was throwing us off the scent. And today, I'll prove it. Very well. Let the first witness take the stand. And you are? Oh, bonjour, everyone. I am Jean Armstrong, the owner and head chef of La Tribulations restaurant. Enchanté. Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman? Oh la la, monsieur. As you can see, I am le pert and le perky gentleman, no? On the day of the incident, you were in Tribulations' kitchen. Isn't that right? How is you, monsieur? Everything feels right. Ha! Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy? Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened that day at Tribulations. Oui, a volunteer. At Tribulations. When it all happened, there was just 2 customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decor that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Oh wait, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. The cup, the earpiece, and the glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, no? Mirror? Oh oui, un grand mirror. The most enormous mirror. And suddenly, the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it. That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front. What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me. Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination. A mirror? Guess it does line up. When it all happens, there were just 2 customers in my restaurant. And who were the 2 customers exactly? A maze, of course. The young man who died. And the other, not so young man. You are referring to yesterday's witness, I presume. What about the other man Maggie says she saw at the table? Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. Okay, so let's keep in mind we probably have to come back to that and present Furio Tigre at some point. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decos that day. You were experimenting with art deco? How come I never heard about that before today? You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur? Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? But I did, just a few moments ago. Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of decorature? Decorature? What? No, art deco. It is a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design, walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing. Yes, of course. That deco. I was trying to achieve a more effeminate look for my restaurant. I was planning the most bold remodeling of le decor. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Oh, both. Something about 4 meters wide and, about 2 meters high. Let's see, if 1 meter is about 1 yard. Holy glass in a frame, that's huge. I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. Amazed none, but I decided not to go through with it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies. But...
Objection!
You didn't ask, Trite. You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work. What? A mirror was delivered to Tribulations the day before the incident. Really? As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And, as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end. This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Tribulations, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime. Ha! If you want to doubt someone, Trite, look in the mirror. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough. So the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror. Does line up. Oh wait, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object. Normally? How does normality come into this? That's lame, Trite, even for you. Huh? Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the porky-headed lawyer and the top-knock chick over there? And the ungodly cool guy with a mask over here? Well, Trite? Ah, not the hair. I do not have a top knot. Mr. Goddo is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument. Bien, logic as one day. The cup, the earpiece, and the glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, non? Everything? He would have seen everything in reverse. Oh, wait. Hey, Nick. We should take a second think about what the old CD said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question! You can look me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear without a doubt. And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup. His left hand. If he saw everything he described reflected in the mirror, then everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh? And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it? Ha! It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's got to be something in that old man's testimony. We've just got to dig deeper. Just look through the evidence a sec. There sure is a lot of it. There won't be any of this. Coffee contained potassium cyanide covered in the victim and Maggie's fingerprints. Picked up with his left hand, which would be in his right hand when looking in the mirror. That doesn't show us anything. The thing is, it's this, isn't it? Wore a HMD over left eye. So this completely disproves the mirror argument, right? Objection! The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we? The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question, you can look me up if I'm wrong, it was his left ear without a doubt. So to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all of that as a reflection in a mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactement. You see, monsieur, now that you think about it, it is not so hard, non? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is now on the wrong side of his head? Order, order! Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim reflected in a mirror, then we would expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over his right eye. How bitter. Trite, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time. Are we talking about your coffee? Or something completely different? You don't understand the way the witness thinks. How he thinks? You remember this, I presume? The I broke the vase, sorry, apology Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony? Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg? Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece. And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Ha. Well, trite. That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever. Oh, I really thought he was old CD for a minute there. God, he was good. Enough! I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony. Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash. A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears.
Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of the restaurant.
The mirror.
Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? The mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. That was the seat at the table next to the victims. That was where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
I see no problems with the explanation we just heard. From the table next to the victims, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette I am. Confusing also men like this.
Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out into cold sweat over there again.
I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
A volunteer, of course.
Oh, very well. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
Do we now accuse him of stealing the ear medication? I feel like we do, right? Or maybe it's too early. Yeah, it's too early. It's wrong. Okay. I got a bit excited there. What about the lottery ticket? He stole a lottery ticket, right? What about the broken vase? Is it how to break the vase at my seat? So that was the seat at the table next to the victims. That was where the old man was sitting. Are you sure about that? I touched nothing except the mirror.
Oh, Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene?
Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly...
Ha! Suffering from a case of heartburn, trite.
Oui, I have just a thing for that. An oil with golden myrrh and frankincense.
Add a few drops to your coffee, and voila, enjoy.
Focus, Phoenix. Breathe. I need to ignore these two and just find some evidence. It's pretty strange though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You'd think someone would have... But Maggie didn't, and neither did old CD.
Then the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Tribulations that day. Now I've just got to prove it somehow.
One seat from which you could have seen an image of the victim. But there's no broken vase there, right? It's got to be the broken... Surely. It is, it's the broken vase. Okay, that's fine. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words yesterday strongly contradict Mr. Armstrong's testimony.
This is the letter of apology that was written by Mr. Kudo, is it not?
I realize it looks useless, Your Honor, but this is still testimony.
Ha! I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things. What relevance does this scrap of paper have to the trial, Mr. Wright?
Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question at hand, Your Honor. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Uh-oh.
Oh, it's the crime photo. Look, you can actually see the table that Armstrong is claiming Victor Kudo was sat at in this photo, and that vase is in one piece. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor. The crime photo? Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist. What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright? Should not exist. Ha! Sounds like you're describing yourself, Trite. Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. Oh, what is the something that should not exist in this photo? It's the face. There is one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all. Don't be an idiot, Trite. That's impossible. That seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from. Exactly. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Tribulations that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie. Mon Dieu! Don't try to confuse the court, Trite. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase, while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene. Unfortunately, Mr. Gatto, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary, in his own words. I did not touch anything else except the mirror. Oh, well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself? I was right. There was no mirror in the restaurant that day. In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Oh, why did the victim have an earpiece in the ear in which he couldn't hear? You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trite, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw? If I can answer this, then I'll be much closer to the truth. I can feel it. Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason. Why nothing in this case is adding up. Oh well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all of the contradictions in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. Mr. Kudo made a mistake. The ear doctor made a mistake. The victim was a phony. Well, it would have had to be more than one mistake that Kudo made. And I don't think the ear doctor made a mistake. Which means there's only one possible answer here. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet there is one very simple answer that clears them all up. And what is that? The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events. What? Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter, a phony, pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake. Ah! He just drank his coffee specifically to spit it out again. Okay. Order in the court. Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom. Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh? What did you just say? Trite. Are you saying what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup? Yes. Someone pretending to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo. Get real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that? Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was
The serving girl brought him a javakino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there in the defendant's chair. I remember her well.
It's so hard to believe, but there was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee. Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but it's also true that the chef was there. How would he would have noticed what was happening? That's right. Well, witness. If your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct? Oh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Tribulations that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened. The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain in detail the events in the restaurant that day. Oui. In the restaurant.
The victim, Monsieur Elg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him, as there were no other customers. When he got word he won la lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. There was no time for a phony to do the acting.
Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant after all.
The chef was demanded pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted this mess to be cleared up quickly.
What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later.
Oui.
For now, we will hear your cross-examination, Mr. Wright, if you please. You took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination.
The victim, Monsieur Elg, okay. Is there anything obvious here? Victim, Monsieur Elg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers.
When he got word he won the lottery, he became very excited. 5 minutes later, the poisoning incident occurred. Is that true? (1:30 p.m.) How many deaths between 1:30 and 2:30? That's not right. I got excited there. Oh, I love the more intense cross-examination music in this game. It's so good. Alright, I'm gonna stop pressing.
The victim, Monsieur Elg, he came to my restaurant alone.
Was he alone at his table as well?
Mais, oui, I saw him from the kitchen.
Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table. Ha! Unfortunately for you, trite. Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like this reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite.
What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet.
Hearing Maya say that makes her seem wise all of a sudden.
I remember that old man arrived not long after him.
By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct?
Oh, he comes often for my special coffee.
I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip, just for the experience.
Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You are most welcome anytime.
I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more. So old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. How many minutes after? What time was it? I think what time was it? What time was it? I think this has got to be about time, right? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oh, No, I cannot remember, monsieur.
I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 by a kind of scary old man, sir.
Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness? The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 p.m. and 2:10 p.m., non?
Just after 2, huh?
Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful.
I can't sit here all the time and do nothing now, can I? The time of the day will be added to the witness's testimony.
Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it? I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood.
He's even humming a song to himself. I remember the old man arrived not long after him, just after 2 p.m.
Well, that can't be right. It's, again, I'm going to present this thing again, because 10 minutes, okay. Most only 10 minutes of your life, 1:30 p.m. So, if that ends at 1:40, the incident happened 5 minutes after the lottery thing, then that's before 2 p.m. But supposedly it happened after the old man arrived. So it's all very contradictory here. And that'll do it. I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong.
What do you mean?
At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket.
Oh wait, that must be the show Mon Elg was listening to.
I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright. I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct?
Oh wait, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I knew it was that time because I had just finished serving the lunch menu.
Get to the point, Trite, if you have one. That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. and it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life. It's on air at 1:30.
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he won.
And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time.
None!
The victim we've been told about has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum. Catching a show that was already over. There is only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. This victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Tribulations that day. The real Glen Elg now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness. It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy? Objection. Quite a performance, Trite. You are almost on a roll. But sadly, you lack the rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song.
What is this? Music Theory 101?
Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony Elg is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain then where the real Glen Elg is? I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at the time, the real Glen Elg was already dead. That's certainly the obvious conclusion. Objection. Thank you, Trite. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say. What? And now I presume you can prove this theory of yours. Can you explain where the missing corpse went to?
The missing corpse?
According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim?
Kitchen, right? It's got to be the kitchen. And he's got to be in on it.
The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body? Yes, Your Honor. No conjecture, Trite. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden.
Evidence? What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden?
I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned all around and backed me into a corner instead. Oh well, Mr. Wright. The court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence. First, where was the body of the real Mr. L concealed? Inside Tribulation. It's gotta be. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Tribulation. Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside the restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. It's gotta be the kitchen, right? The exact location where the body was hidden is... The body was hidden here. I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, could you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? It's gotta be the medication, right? Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle?
No. I have never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright? Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Tribulation.
Okay. But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils.
But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication. Oh, what kind of medication? I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elk visited an otolaryngological clinic and was given medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elk. Then Elk's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen, at which time this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen?
Mon Dieu!
Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird. However, you were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back.
None! Order! This is an extraordinary development.
Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elk?
Never! I could not do such an horrible thing.
No! Oh. Mr. Godot? The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules.
Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now?
Then I like to do the same to the person who lied to me. I like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear? My H-deficient friend.
Je vous demande pardon. Please, you must hear me out. It is a trap. Listen to me. Por favor.
Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish. I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it?
None! Absolutely none!
Let's hear it. You've got one shot. Right, Gramps? Oh, witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel.
Oui, it is clear.
What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this. Oh, very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong. The confession.
It is true. I hid that body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear it. You must believe me.
You were forced? By who?
I cannot say, or I will be erased.
Let's try a different question. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table?
There was another man.
I feel like we've done it. I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth. Oh, you may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright. There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Put the body in the kitchen. The man forced me to do it. I had to go along with him because there was a reason I could not refuse. I'm just gonna outright present this. You have a $500,000 debt, don't you? $500,000? Is that true, Mr. Armstrong?
Oh oui, je suis désolé. I was weak, and I borrowed la money.
This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you.
Oh oui, it is as you say.
Mr. Armstrong.
La Tiger. He told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting la victim to demand that he repay his loan.
I don't know why it happened like that.
I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried la body and la inconscient Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen.
I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tigre. I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well?
No, I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable.
Mr. Godot, you will summon this Furio Tigre as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow. "30 minutes.
What?
The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more. How the? Don't sit back and relax yet, trite. No one knows if the chef is telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way. Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tigre is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess. To be continued. Well, this is going pretty well so far, I'm not gonna lie. Seems like we're so close to winning this case, and now we're just gonna need to face off with the tiger. But YouTube, see you tomorrow for the next one.